firstly, I want to say thank you very much for everybody who's come along. It's really, really great to get so many people who we've worked with over the years. So tonight we're going to talk about our rebrand and really what we've been up to at Marine Resources recently, and then also to give you some of the results from the recent salary survey that we did. So we've got a lot to pack in, so I thought we should probably start off with a bit of the story of Marine Resources. So I know quite a lot of you in the room, but there's also some people that I don't know. So the quick history of Marine Resources is that the company was set up over 16 years ago, really off the back of what I felt at the time was a need to have a dedicated recruitment agency specifically for the leisure marine industry. So the story starts back in 2001, 2002. A cocky 21, 22-year-old boat builder called James wanted to move to Southampton, couldn't find a job, didn't know who to speak to about the jobs or where to look. Had some friends doing pretty well in recruitment at the time, had got into it, and so thought, I'll give this a go myself. And so I moved to Southampton anyway, and spoke to my friends and said, look, how do you do recruitment? Because I'd never done it. And they basically said, well, what you need is a whole load of people who needed a job. So it's like, right, okay, well, I know quite a lot of boat builders and marine engineers and those sort of guys. So I was like, yeah, I reckon I've got that covered. And they said, all you need to do then is phone up as many companies as you can until you find someone who needs to employ one of your guys. I was like, right, how hard can that be? So I basically spent months and months and months just on the phones, phoning as many people as I could. And finally, I had a bite, and I phoned up a company, and it was one of the mariners in the area, and the guy I spoke to was like absolutely stressed out. He was like, "Oh, you could absolutely save my life here. My marine engineer has just walked out on me. It's pre-season. I've got all these boats to service. They've got to go in the water. Have you got any marine engineers?" And I said, "Well, funnily enough, yes, I do have some marine engineers. Trying to put my best recruitment voice on." And he's like, right, have you got one who can start on Monday? Yes, I do. So sent this guy along. He started on Monday. He stayed. This guy paid the fee. And I absolutely couldn't believe it, And that was recruitment. And we used that initial first fee. I was a bit of a crossroads, because remember, I was only sort of 21 at the time. I thought, right, I can either go out and have a really good weekend, or I can use this money to invest in the company. So that was that kind of crossroads for me, where I thought, do you know what? Actually, I'm going to give this a bit of a go. I do think there's a bit of a need, and I invested that money in a little bit of office space, in a website, and kind of things kind of snowballed from there. The big thing that stood out for me from that actual kind of moment was, I thought, do you know what? Why did that work? Well, it came down to the fact that I had a good network. I actually quite quickly formed quite a good relationship with this guy, and I gave him a good service. And ever since day one, that has been really like the kind of core focus of Marine Resources, to be able to, achieve those three things and keep that really central for, in everything that we do, really. So there's really been quite a few key milestones for the business over the years. So certainly the first milestone, for sure, was the first placement. That was massive. And then actually, almost an even bigger milestone was our second placement, because what it meant was, that wasn't a fluke. Actually, it wasn't just this one guy who happened to have a crazy moment who needed somebody on Monday. And we made a second placement and then a third placement. Those kind of local placements turned into non-local placements. So we made a placement in Wales, and then in the Midlands, and then in Scotland. And then we made our first placement in Europe, and then our first placement in Asia. And by this point, we had a handful of clients in Europe and a load in the UK, and we were now doing recruitment in Asia. We then had our first recession. That was a pretty interesting time, doing recruitment in an industry which is basically funded by people's disposable income. So we really quickly had to evolve and adapt to that situation. And off the back of that, we we launched our job board service. Our job board service is called Staff Direct, and that service still goes today. That also made us realize that, do you know what, we can't just live in one sector of the industry. So we started to look into other sectors, and that's where we started to target the super yacht sector and a little bit of the commercial marine. And at the time, in the sort of the first boom of wind farms, we kind of got into that. Then we had another milestone was an office move, because we'd outgrown the office that we were in. And then we took on our first big major client that gave us multiple recruitment that required an account manager and new processes and things like that. So there's been loads of real milestones over the years, and it's been quite a journey. And it's really, really great to get to this point here where we're almost kind of relaunching the business this year, and to be able to kind of do that in this great venue with so many fantastic people from the industry is a real honor. So it's something I'm very, very proud of. Okay, so right through that journey up to now, we've always wanted to make sure that we keep those kind of three core focuses, but have always been very good at kind of adapting and evolving, and as we've grown, never lost sight of those three core values, if you like. And I think as recruitment companies do grow, those values do get lost. That good service, that good network, and that's something that we're really very, very passionate about keeping hold of. So let's fast forward to today. So here we are, 16 plus years later. We've got a 50,000 strong international database of candidates. We take on around about 1,000 jobs a year. We take on about 100 qualified new candidate CVs every month. We make over 100 placements every single year, and we're actually the number one choice for the industry, some of the industry's biggest brands. So we kind of got to that point, and we've been at that point for about a year or so, really. And a rebrand wasn't anything that was necessarily really high on the priority list for us. We were just really focused on doing a good job for our clients. And it was only in a recruitment meeting with one of our really big clients that I kind of suggested, I said, look, you've got some really big labor targets that you need to meet, and how about we start putting on some recruitment events for you? We could partner up, and we can hold some sort of open evenings, and we could even maybe support you at a few boat shows, even have a recruitment and careers area on your stand. And this is a client we've been working with for a couple of years, and had a good relationship with, of course. And he said, that's a really, really great idea, but the problem is we wouldn't be seen dead associating our logo with your logo. And I was like, oh my gosh, stabbed to the heart. And that was a pretty brutal moment, but that made me sort of really reflect on the branding. And I've been so focused on service and network and and all of that sort of stuff. We never really kind of really thought about the brand too much from that point. So those of you that know a bit about marketing will know that your brand isn't just your logo. And even though the person in question, who I'm not going to mention his name, sort of was very specific about our 80s style logo, it was our whole brand. So we had to bring in some experts for that. So we were very, very pleased to bring in our friends at MTM, who have worked with us right through this rebrand. One of the first things that we did was we had to come up with a vision for the business, and something that we could aspire to. We've always been really, really ambitious at Marine Resources. So we wanted to have a vision that was a real statement that not just me, but the whole team could aspire to, something that was bold, but something that was achievable. And basically, we came up with to be the best marine recruitment company in the UK. Simple as that. Now, that is ambitious, and we actually think we're nearly there in a lot of the areas that we work. But we're not totally there yet, and we know that. And we're very, very committed to continuing working very, very hard to achieve that. But to be the best, you can't just have the best logo and the best branding. You need to have the best team, the best processes, the best systems, the best clients, the best relationships, and so on and so forth. So every single day when we come into to work, that's what we're sort of striving to be, is the absolute best. And hopefully one day we will be there. So once we had the vision, the next thing we did, and once we'd found MTM, we actually went out to the market and we started to talk to people about what they thought of us. We spoke to people who hadn't just had a good experience with us, but people who had a bad experience with us, or maybe people who had never used us before at all. And I don't know if any of you have gone through that process, but that is also a very brutal process. So, I'd had quite a year by this point. I'd had the stab through the heart on the logo, and we'd had this really kind of, very open and honest feedback from the industry about the perception of marine resources. By the way, it wasn't all bad, but there was definitely some stuff in there for us to work on. But I would actually recommend any business owner to go through that process, even if you're not rebranding, to actually go out and be brave enough to kind of, ask your market why they do and why they don't use you. So once we'd had all of that really useful feedback, and also at the time I'd also done one of the first kind of internal staff engagement surveys. So that was really the icing on the cake for the grey hairs. So, we got the feedback from the guys as well on what they like about working for me and what they don't like about working for Marine Resources. So anyway, we took all of that and we put it in a big pot, and we and actually what we've come out with is something absolutely fantastic and something that I'm amazingly proud of. I think we've got to a point with the brand that it doesn't just represent kind of where we've been or who we are today. It's actually where we want to be down the line, and we're extremely ambitious to make sure that everything we do lives up to the fantastic branding that we have. So what I just want to show you now is our video that we came up with, which sort of just pulls together everything that everything that is our new branding and all the stuff that we're trying to aspire to. So that's the new branding. We're really, really pleased with that, and I think that video really kind of sums up everything that we're trying to be as a company. So just to highlight a few things in the video, by the way, I love that video, everything about it apart from one thing, which was my haircut at the time. I had an absolute shocker the day before getting ready for that. But anyway, so look, I mean, our values has been something that's been really, really important to us, over the years. So, but we've tried to sort of summarize them now going forward into what we want to be for everybody that we work with. So, absolutely, we want to be a trusted partner to every single client and candidate that we work with, because candidates are also like our clients, and we like to try and treat them as importantly, if you like, as our clients. We want to make sure that we are providing you with industry expertise right throughout any recruitment process, and even before it as well. Even if you're considering recruiting and you just want to come and have a chat with us about, sort of the benchmark and the salaries, or talk about your recruitment strategies, we can help you with that. And we just want to deliver a truly personal approach to everything that we do. And like I said before, as recruitment companies grow, then I think that's something that starts to get lost, and that's something that's really, really important to us. And I think certainly from the feedback that we've had in the past is something that a lot of the industry like about working with Marine Resources. So the trusted partner bit, I mean, we talked about kind of, recruitment strategies then, and that's how we like to work. We don't just want to kind of fill one of your jobs and never speak to you again. We want to be involved. We want to be seen as your recruitment arm to your businesses. There is value in using a recruitment company, of course there is, but not just for one role. It's really that role 3, 4, and 5, if you like, is where you really start to see the value working with a recruiter, and that's because by then, that's when the relationship's really built. That's when we really start to understand the cultures of your business. And that is what is really, really important when you guys are recruiting. You should never recruit just based on skill set, and you need to really, really consider and make allowances as well for finding the best people for your business from a culture point of view. Industry expert. Well, look, we are very committed going forward to continue to invest in employment statistics. So the salary survey, which we'll talk about later, is one of the first kind of big investments that we've done. We've now have the first report of that kind that wasn't there before, and that's something we're going to build on going forward. And we want to be able to advise everybody who works with us using that really good data. And the personal approach, well, look, I think that goes without saying, especially elements of this industry, is a very, very friendly, very personal industry, and we want to make sure that we don't lose that. And that personal approach, that not just on the phone relationship, is all about us coming to your businesses and actually really understanding, again, on the cultures, which is something that I really bang on about all the time with my team, about understanding the businesses, not just understanding the roles that you're recruiting for. So just a quick breakdown of our services, really. So in the past, we've kind of not really had a lot of structure to the different services that we can offer the industry, but now we do, and I'm really pleased that we can sort of categorize these into 5 areas. The first is full permanent recruitment service. So we will actively go to market and recruit for your roles. We will also actively work with you as a job seeker, whether you're a passive or an active job seeker, to sort of support and manage that whole process for you. Job board advertising, I touched on that. The thing that kind of saved the business back in 2009. And that is something that we're going to grow from next year. To have that kind of billboard classified. It's a great service for kind of seasonal roles and for very, very small businesses. It's to get their brand out there that they're recruiting. Contract recruitment, so we can help supply contractors on short and medium term contracts to any business really in all types of roles, and we'll take on the headache of the payroll and the insurance and the compliance and all that sort of stuff. And so it's just we turn it into one kind of easy invoice, once a week, leaving you guys just to get on with your businesses and your roles in your businesses, because usually contracting is needed when it's super, super busy. And actually, you don't want to be worrying about that sort of stuff. You just want to be worrying about getting through the busy times and being as successful as possible. Projects as well, and what we mean by that is we are now able to bring together teams of contractors and actually kind of project manage these projects on your behalf as well. So that's the fully outsourced service. And the newest service that we're going to be really driving in 2020 going forwards is our executive search, something I'm really excited about. I believe that we've got the best network of C-level and D-level professionals right across this industry. So we're going to start offering that executive headhunt and executive search services to the industry really from next year. So the sectors that we are working within these days are, we started off just as that little leisure marine recruiter, and now we're very active across leisure, super yacht, commercial marine, maritime, offshore, and renewables. I'm going to talk a little bit more about how we kind of break those down and how we see sort of how we categorize companies into those sectors a little bit later on. And then although we can actually help across any type of role, we really break down the specialisms into really 6 key main areas. So that is design, build and refit, engineering and technical, ports and marinas, and operations in general, sales and marketing, and of course executives as well, which I just mentioned. So look, why are we different? And I think for years I've been trying to figure out how you put together your USPs for a recruitment company, right? We always talk about USPs within business. And how do you come up with a USP for a recruitment company? I don't think there's anything that we do which no one else can do, in recruitment. So I've sort of parked the USP thing because I've given up trying to figure out what it is. But what I've started to do more of is figure out what our value proposition is, and so why are we better than a lot of our competitors? Well, there's a big long list here, but I'll give you a few examples. We can get you very, very good candidates very quickly. A feedback that we have is recruiters can take a long time to actually get the good candidates for you. All right, so we actively try and get you candidates within 24 hours. We only have the best jobs in the industry. We pay our contractors on time. Believe it or not, that doesn't always happen, and that's something that is unbelievable to me, and it's such an important part of our business, and that's something that we will always guarantee will happen week in, week out. We make the process easy for you, and we are very good at building confidence in you to spend your money on recruitment, to see the value in using a recruiter. Confidentiality. We work in quite a small industry where a lot of people know everyone else, and we, in Touchwood, in 16 odd years, have managed to keep every recruitment process that we've ever managed for somebody completely confidential. And that's not actually that easy sometimes when you're in a room where you're kind of dealing with lots of people who are trying to swap companies and that sort of stuff. Not saying that that's happening tonight. Anyone looking nervous? No. And just the quality, we really focus on quality of candidates and not the quantity of candidates. We'd rather send you one really, really good one rather than 5 or 6 or 7 sort of mediocre candidates. And we'll always be very honest with you throughout that process. Okay, so who are we? Well, look, we rebranded. Externally, we've got this new look and this new feel, if you like, but that doesn't mean anything unless we do that internally. So we've worked really, really hard this year to kind of rebrand ourselves internally. And I said earlier, to be the best externally, we do need to have the best people. And I think actually right now Marine Resources has got the best team that it's ever had. We've got some really long-term committed guys in the team who've been there for a good number of years now, and that's really fantastic. And I just think the whole team are on board with what we're trying to achieve, and it makes that place so much fun every single day to go in and work. And we're really focused on investing back in the guys that work at Marine Resources. So, in training, in career progression, in mentoring, in the opportunities that we provide to them, to make sure we've got a dynamic place to work every day, that it's fun. That's really important. Don't ever forget that. In your workplaces, have a bit of fun sometimes. We want to make sure that everyone has some good earning opportunities, that they feel supported, and there's a lot of perks working from Ream Resources. So, we've worked really hard on that as part of this rebrand process, and actually I'm really pleased that came good for us at the end of the summer when we actually won an award for being one of the best employer in the industry. So that's something I'm really proud of. Also, as part of our rebrand, is that we wanted to kind of bring out something that we're really passionate about anyway. But we actually wanted to sort of commit and invest into a corporate social responsibility. And we all know in this room there's a big problem with single-use plastic around the world. There's not a day now that goes by where you don't see it come up on social media, and actually the more momentum that gets, the more bigger the problem seems, and actually what our angle on this sort of corporate social responsibility is that just, if we tackle this a little bit at a time, it actually can make a big difference. And I do sometimes look at some of the media around this stuff and worry that it is kind of getting to a point where people think, well, actually, you can't do anything about it, and that's absolutely not true. So our corporate social responsibility is to really focus on the single-use plastic problem, and we've actually been really lucky to partner with The Final Straw, and Bianca from The Final Straw is here this evening. Just over here. So The Final Straw are a non-profit environmental group. They're focusing on reducing and hopefully one day eliminating single-use plastics along the Solent region. And Bianca has been absolutely brilliant coming into our business and just telling us and educating us on actually what we can do, which is only small things that can make a big difference. So a few things that we've done is I've given everybody in the team a reusable coffee cup, and this coffee cup's really great because it flat packs, okay? So it's good for travel. We all travel quite a lot. Reusable water bottle as well, again, that kind of rolls up and flat packs. So really, really useful if you're in business and you do a lot of traveling. We're actually giving these away as corporate gifts to you guys tonight as a thank you for coming along. So on your way out, make sure you get a goodie bag, a gift bag, because there's all sorts of stuff in there like this to give you guys, and hopefully start your journey in trying to just do little bit extras for to try and help fight the single-use plastic problem. Some other things that we did internally was we started to use bamboo pens. We even did things like review our toilet roll usage, right? So it's unbelievable once you look at how much toilet roll a business uses every year. And I don't remember the stat, but where's Joe? Joe, how many miles of loo roll do we use, Joe? Can't remember the miles, about 400 rolls a year, right? And we are a small business, right? In the scheme of things. So. So we've moved to a more environmentally friendly loo roll. We've stopped using bin liners in the office. What else have we done? We've actually banned single-use plastics from the office altogether. And so we're just doing these little things. And so our corporate social responsibility is partnering with The Final Straw is to try and help educate the industry on just the little things that we can do that make a big difference. We're committed a certain percentage of our social media to it. And also, we've also now committed 1% annually of our gross profit to The Final Straw just to help with the great work that they do. So that's something we're really excited to keep bringing to you guys over the next months and years. Okay, so the future. What's the future of marine resources? Well, of course, it's to do this branding justice. I said that a bit earlier. It's to make sure that we live up to all the stuff that we're saying from our vision and from our ambition with the branding. And I know that I'm certainly up for that, and I know all the team are up for that. So we're excited for what's coming for the company. The expansion into new markets, we're absolutely ready to take that on head on. We're recruiting heavily, and we're bringing in new people into the team to do that and to help us do that. And we're already making a really great impact in some of these new markets. And just continue to expand the business, but whilst maintaining the values, and that's really, really important. Not just the values that you've seen on the screen, but also maintaining the fun and the kind of inspiring place to come to work every day. So just to finish this section with this slide is that I'll read it out that, one of our pledges, if you like, is we use industry research to advise our clients on key trends and relevant market intelligence with insight and expert knowledge to help you make informed recruitment decisions. Okay, a bit wordy, but basically we are really, really committed to bringing forward the data to help you and your businesses and also your career decisions as well. And the salary survey that we've been running over the last few months, and what I'm going to talk about a bit later, is the first step towards that. So look, I'm going to shut up for a bit. Have a drink. There's going to be some canapes coming round shortly, and then in a little while I'll start to reveal some of the top line results of the salary survey. Thank you very much.